Most people think that great storytelling is about being complex or clever. But did you know that 80% of people find simple stories more memorable than complicated ones? It's true. In fact, a study by the Journal of Cognitive Science found that stories with fewer details are remembered better than long, intricate ones. Here's another surprising fact. A simple story can increase audience engagement by up to 33%, according to Psychology Today. People are drawn to stories that are easy to follow and quick to understand. So, if you're trying too hard to make your story fancy, you might be losing your audience. In this video, you'll learn how simplicity can turn a good story into a great one. We'll break down the art of finding your core message, using relatable characters, and adding twists that keep people hooked. We'll also show you how to use your voice to tell stories that leave a lasting impact. Ready to become a storytelling pro? Let's dive in and explore why simple stories are the ones that win, every time. Chapter 1. The Power of Simplicity. Less is more. The best stories aren't always the ones with layers upon layers of detail. In fact, research from Harvard Business Review shows that people are 22% more likely to remember a story when it's simple and easy to follow. Think of some of the most iconic tales, like The Tortoise and the Hare. It's a short, straightforward story, but its message has lasted for centuries. In today's media landscape, we're bombarded with information. A simple, clear narrative cuts through the noise. Take Apple's marketing, for example. Steve Jobs famously said, "Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple." And he was right. Apple's stories about their products are always minimal, yet they evoke emotions and action. So how can you keep your story simple? Start by identifying the core message you want to deliver. Ask yourself, what's the one thing I want my audience to take away? Focus on that and eliminate anything that doesn't support it. Simplicity doesn't mean dumbing down your content. It means making your message easy to digest. The simpler it is, the more likely your audience will understand and remember it. Chapter 2. Crafting your core message. What's your why? Before you even start telling a story, you need to know why you're telling it. Simon Sinek's book Start With Why explains how the most successful brands and leaders always begin with the purpose behind their message. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, Sinek says. And that applies to storytelling too. Your why is the emotional connection you create with your audience. It's the reason they care about what you're saying. Without a clear why, even the most well-crafted stories fall flat. Take a look at Nike's iconic "Just Do It" campaign. The why isn't just about selling shoes, it's about inspiring people to push their limits and achieve greatness. That's what makes it memorable. To find your why, think about what you want your audience to feel. Do you want them to be inspired? Motivated? Moved to action? Once you know that, it becomes easier to shape your story around that core emotion. Keep in mind that the why should be relatable. Research shows that 70% of emotionally engaged customers are more likely to recommend a brand or product. Stories with a strong emotional pull stick longer in the minds of the audience. Remember, people connect with feelings, not facts. If you can tap into a deep emotional need, your story will have much more impact. Ask yourself, what's the emotional takeaway? And how can I weave that into every part of the narrative? Chapter 3. The Art of Relatability. Making your audience feel at home. Great stories make the audience feel like they're part of the journey. And that's where relatability comes in. According to a study published in the Journal of Marketing Research, stories with relatable characters are 50% more likely to influence audience behavior. Why? Because when people see themselves in a story, they're more invested in the outcome. Relatability can be achieved in simple ways. Use everyday scenarios, emotions, or struggles that your audience can easily identify with. Pixar's storytelling rules emphasize this. They believe that every character should have a desire that's universally understood, whether it's finding love, overcoming fear, or seeking acceptance. Think about Toy Story. It's about toys, but at its core, it's about the fear of being replaced, which is something we've all felt. It's this relatable emotion that made the movie such a hit across different age groups. Another way to make your story relatable is through shared experiences. When people recognize familiar situations in a story, they feel more connected to it. For instance, The Office uses mundane workplace scenarios that millions of people can relate to, making the humor more impactful. When crafting your own story, think about what universal emotions or experiences you can draw from. Lastly, using simple language is key to relatability. Avoid jargon or overly complicated terms that might alienate your audience. A study by Princeton University shows that people perceive simpler messages as more credible. When your language is clear and easy to follow, your audience will trust you more and engage better with your story. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying these tips on storytelling. We've got even more strategies coming up. Chapter 4, Visual Storytelling, Painting Pictures with Words. Words have power, but when you can make your audience see the story, that's when the magic happens. Visual storytelling isn't just for movies or TV shows. It's an essential tool for anyone telling a story, whether you're speaking, writing, or presenting. A Stanford University study found that people remember stories 63% better when they include vivid details. The reason? Our brains are wired for images. Think of it like this: when you describe a sunny day, don't just say, "It was a bright day." Instead, try, "The sunlight poured through the trees, casting warm golden patches on the sidewalk." You're not just telling the audience, it's like you're walking them through it. This kind of sensory detail pulls people in, engaging their imagination. One great technique to improve your visual storytelling is to focus on the 5 senses. What does the scene look like, sound like, smell like, or even feel like? Adding sensory details can make even a mundane moment feel real and immersive. Take, for example, how J.K. Rowling describes Hogwarts. It's not just a school, it's a place with flickering candles, towering bookshelves, and long dining tables. These details create a world we feel like we can almost touch. When crafting your story, ask yourself, can my audience picture what I'm describing? If not, it's time to add more sensory richness. But remember to keep it balanced. Don't overload with unnecessary details. A few carefully chosen visuals are much more powerful than long, drawn-out descriptions. In fact, according to the Elements of Style, a sentence should contain no unnecessary words. Chapter 5, The Twist That Thrills, Keeping Your Audience Guessing. No one likes a predictable story. One of the most exciting elements of storytelling is the twist, the moment that takes your audience by surprise. According to a study by Psychological Science, stories that contain unexpected events are more likely to trigger emotional reactions and are 30% more memorable than those that follow a predictable pattern. The twist doesn't have to be huge. It could be something as simple as a character making an unexpected decision or a revelation that flips the story's perspective. Think of how The Sixth Sense shocked viewers with its final reveal, changing how the entire story was understood. It's moments like this that leave a lasting impact. To build a great twist, first, set expectations. Lead your audience in one direction, then turn the tables. But don't just add a twist for the sake of it, make sure it's tied to the core of your story. Otherwise, it'll feel cheap. Suspense master Alfred Hitchcock said, "There is no terror in the bang, only in the anticipation of it." What he meant was that the build-up is what makes the twist thrilling. Let your audience feel comfortable, even a little too comfortable, before pulling the rug out from under them. Another key to crafting a great twist is foreshadowing. Sprinkle subtle clues throughout your story so that when the twist comes, your audience feels both surprised and satisfied. They should think, "I didn't see that coming, but now it makes sense." A well-executed twist keeps your story engaging and leaves people talking about it long after it's over. If you found these strategies helpful, don't forget to subscribe for more storytelling tips, techniques, and tricks. There's always more to learn, and we're here to help you become the storyteller you were meant to be. With these 6 strategies, you're now equipped to create stories that are simple, engaging, and unforgettable. Let's start telling stories that not only captivate but also leave a lasting impact.